Xerographica today, and it's already like grabbed onto some of my fingers. This is an air plant. It's native to South America, and a lot of people get a lot of air plants just as decor and assume that they don't need to be watered or fed or anything like that. I was definitely one of those people, and now I'm not, and that's because I've killed probably 15 air plants, including Spanish moss, which is nearly impossible to kill from what I understand. This is a type of Tillandsia. It is a xeric Tillandsia, which means that it grows in more desert-like conditions rather than some of the simimesic air plants, which means that they just grow in slightly more humid conditions. This guy can handle a lot more drought compared to other air plants. Air plants, for me, have taken a long time for me to figure out what the heck I'm doing with them. Partly because I live in a more humid environment, and the places where I was buying these from were Southern California, where it is more dry. Most of the care instructions that I see for these guys say to mist them every day or to soak them once a week. That is not correct, especially if you're living in a humid environment that is much more temperate and not tropical or desert conditions at all. So for me, because this guy lives inside 100% of the time, I could probably put it outside for the summer, but because it lives inside 100% of the time, it needs far less water than a lot of forums that I see. And it's really hard for me to gauge stuff, especially when I was first starting on my plant journey, because I would see all of these beautiful tropical plants in tropical environments and not in my Midwestern temperate environment. Anyway, so the Xerographica, I love this guy. It's really sculptural. I said it's a xeric air plant, and it can handle more drought than other air plants. So what I do in my Chicago apartment is I mist it once I mist it once a day. Sometimes. If I forget, who cares? This plant doesn't care because it is used to more desert-like conditions. What I have done though is set a timer on my phone for all of my air plants, and I soak them once a month to make sure that they have adequate water. How do I know that my air plant is getting enough water? The tips aren't turning brown, but that's how I know that these are not getting adequate water, is when the tips start browning. It is a very, very slow process. I do have some nice big curly fronds, and a few of them have brown tips. That happened this past winter when I was trying to not overwater these guys in Cleveland because they were not getting any light, because that's how Cleveland is. And you can see some of browning on the bottom of this plant. This nub is where the roots used to come out, and these brown fronds, I guess, leaves is what they are. They dried and they are no longer functional for this plant, but they haven't attracted pests, so I haven't removed it. I don't know what kind of pests are attracted to air plants, so there's that. These plants don't grow very fast. Now, if you're in the right conditions, yeah, they'd probably go crazy, but not here for me in Chicago or for me in Cleveland. This specific air plant can take really, really bright light and probably some direct light. If you can tell, it's pretty silvery. Typically that means that a plant can take more direct light than not. It is a very interesting air plant. Air plants are epiphytic, and they belong to the Tillandsia family. A lot of air plants are endangered, so it's important that you find them from reputable sources and reputable growers. Those are the people who are able to help you figure out how to grow these plants in your environment and how to help conserve these for the future. Most plants do not absorb nutrients through their leaves, but these guys do. Their roots, which are not present on this air plant, their roots would be primarily used to attach to a tree, and it would probably hang upside down. That is to help prevent water from pooling in the center. One of the major issues that I have with air plants is water pooling in the center, and then they just rot out. I kind of equate it to crown rot in orchids. Basically, if I treat this guy like an orchid, fine. Except for I don't have roots on it, so I don't put it in anything. As of right now, it sits in my north window, which happens to get some direct light, and I put it on top of this guy, and it looks cute. Airflow is very important to air plants, and my air plant, over the probably year that I've had it, it has started to grow more in this direction. This is where, if I put the root level, I don't know if you can see that, if I put the root level, it's kind of growing up and this way, and they will grow in the direction of their airflow. So it is important to move your air plants. It's important not so much to move them as in like back and forth like this, but to rotate them. Otherwise they will grow in a certain pattern, and if that is displeasing to you, what's the point? So this guy has been growing pretty well for me in the last 6 months, but I just thought I would share my air plant experience with you guys living in the northern part of the United States, having humid summers and not very much light. So water your air plants. Subscribe or don't. It'd be lovely to have you back, but thanks so much for hanging out with me and talking about air plants. We can make plant mistakes together, I guess.